Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Cage. I'm your host, Jim Graham, and joining me today on the line, we have a special guest. He is set to fight Johnny Eduardo on December 10th in Las Vegas, Nevada. He is the Funk Master, Aljamain Sterling. And Aljamain, thanks for coming on the show.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
The last time we talked to you, Aljamain, was back in April after your fight against Mizugaki. So, how was your summer here for 2015?
The summer was great, but I felt like it could have been a little bit more eventful. I was planning on fighting, and then at least once for the summer, and then kind of just being able to relax. But then I had the hernia, so I couldn't do much outside of just sit and wait for the surgery and kind of just recover and heal. So I didn't get to do too much, but I mean, I still had a good time. Still got to enjoy my time with my family, my friends, my girlfriend, and just still being around the gym and still mentally staying in the game.
Of course, you mentioned there you had the hernia following the win against Mizugaki in April. So, was that the most serious you've ever been hurt so far in MMA?
From fighting, yes, I think that is the biggest injury I've had. I mean, I did damage my clavicle bone before in a amateur fight, and man, I was screwed up for like, I think even till now I still feel it, and yeah, but I would think the hernia was the most serious in terms of me actually not being able to do anything. Because with that, it just felt like something was just trying to rip through my stomach like it was Freddy Krueger or something.
Now, before you booked the fight with Johnny Eduardo, you were trying to fight Bryan Caraway. Of course, that didn't happen yet, but I was wondering, are you still hopeful that you might fight Caraway sometime in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I like to fight him if it makes sense, if he's in the right positioning in terms of the bantamweight division. But you know, if that fight doesn't happen, it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be. I just think a stylistic fight where a guy who's such a high-level grappler, two grapplers going after each other, I think it just makes for a intense and an exciting stylistic fight where he'll be more willing to engage in the BJJ realm where most of the other guys, I take them down, I get on the back, and it kind of just gets stuck, and that's pretty much the end of that. Or if I don't get them out, where, you know, it's kind of a stalemate position where someone of his caliber would actually be able to engage and get out, escape, and, you know, go back and forth with the scrambles and stuff. I just think it would be a fun fight, and I think it's one that could still win if he did get the better of me in the grappling, but I highly doubt that. But I just think it would have been a fun fight overall.
Sticking with the bantamweight division here for a second, Aljamain, big title fight in your division. TJ Dillashaw defends his title against former champion Dominick Cruz. How do you think that one's going to play out?
You know, man, I can't wait for that fight because we're going to get to see. Hopefully, Cruz is relatively close to 100% because it's going to be really exciting to see what he can do against a very, very high-level competitor in a guy such as Dillashaw. And I think Dillashaw has adapted his game. He gets better every single fight, and I think in that second fight with Barao, he showed that he tuned up some things and actually was able to put him away sooner than he did in the first fight, and he didn't take as much damage as he did in the first fight, in my opinion. So I just think, with that being said, and then you have Cruz, who just came back, killed Mizugaki in about a minute and a half, and we've never seen him display punching power like that and control. I mean, he's been known for his footwork, never so much for his power, just being able to land precise shots and get his takedowns and overwork guys and outpoint them. So it just makes for an interesting matchup. It depends what kind of Cruz shows up in January. But for me, if I had to pick, I think I'm going to go with the bigger guy in Dominick Cruz just because he's the bigger guy. He's just as fast. He moves just as much as TJ does, but he uses his wrestling a lot better, I think, in my opinion. So I think that would be the difference.
Now, I just saw this on your Instagram. You had Stephen Thompson, the Wonder Boy, come up to Serra-Longo most recently to kind of help out Chris Weidman. But what do you take away when Stephen Thompson visits Serra-Longo with his background in karate and kickboxing?
Yeah, whenever we get to work, it's always fun to pick his brain on some stuff. He showed me a couple of things here and there that just for me to keep in mind and try, because I have such a dynamic style in terms of my kicking. I'm very kick heavy. You probably think that I did a little taekwondo in my upbringing, but I actually haven't done any taekwondo or any karate. It's more so practicing from VHS tapes back in the day with my brothers and sisters, just having these in-house karate matches and things like that. And so I think having him around is always fun. It's cool to pick his brain on little things like that, and to see him work with Chris is it's always a pleasure to watch, just because you get to see the difference in their styles and how one is able to shut the other one down at certain points, and how you can use certain stuff just because you're stronger in one area. That doesn't mean necessarily you're going to win every single sparring session or things like that. It just depends on who sets things up better. So it's always fun to watch.
Sticking with your team there, Serra-Longo, of course, one of your teammates, Gian Villante, he was successful back in Australia on the 14th of November, knocking out Anthony Perosh in the first round. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that victory for Gian.
You know what? In my honest opinion, I feel like Gian's hit a new level in his career and in his mindset mentally. I feel like the old Gian, he was kind of getting away with just doing the bare minimum, and I think now he's doing much more than he normally does in terms of his fight preparation and pushing himself to levels I guess he probably didn't really believe that he can actually push himself to. And I think that's the difference right now in this Villante. Even in Tom Lola fight, he just looked like a completely different animal. The way he was moving on his feet, his footwork, he was light on his toes. He wasn't breathing heavy after the first round, and he's putting together his combination really, really well. And you see the fight from Anderson to Tom Lola's fight, just a big difference, just night and day in terms of his footwork and everything. And his preparation I just think has just been a lot better, and he's been a lot more confident in his gas tank and really going for it and being calm and seeing the fight play out better in his mind and actually going out there and being able to implement it in fights.
Wanted to ask you this, Aljamain, being a native of New York State, the UFC has gone ahead and booked a event for April in Madison Square Garden, despite MMA still not being legal in the state. And I was wondering maybe if you could put a percentage on it as well. What do you think the chances are that event's actually going to happen at Madison Square Garden come April?
Oh man, that's a tough one. It's hard for me to put a percentage on that because I don't know the fine details that the UFC is going on in terms of them finding a loophole. So it's kind of tough for me to say. My thing is, when you have guys that keep turning it down, and then when you schedule an event, and of course it's going to get back to them, of course they're going to hear about it, they're going to see it, and for me, I feel like it can be taken one of two ways. All right, these guys are really serious about trying to getting it here in New York State, or these guys don't understand we don't want it here, and now I feel like they're pissing on our shoes. So I think that could be taken one of two ways by the state assembly and whoever is controlling all that stuff. I don't know the exact names and stuff and the ins and outs of it, but I just think it could be taken one of two ways, and hopefully we do get it, man. That would be awesome to be able to fight in front of my hometown for once and actually have hometown advantage. New Jersey's like my hometown at this point, but to actually be able to fight in New York and have people from Jersey come out to New York to watch me fight would be even crazier.
Now, some fans may know, maybe they don't, but you are on Snapchat. You can follow Aljamain at funk-master31, and I gotta say, you always have some entertaining snaps. So I was wondering, how often do you actually Snapchat during the day?
I've actually been trying to slow it down a little bit, because I could go a little Snapchat crazy, but I do a lot of silly stuff on there. That's the whole reason why I got it. I never had it. I'm pretty new to Snapchat, so it's a little bit different from Instagram and stuff like that, because it can kind of get annoying to see the same person over and over. With Snapchat, you either want to see what I'm doing or you don't. So you can follow me and not actually have to look at some of the craziness I'm doing. So for me, it's kind of my own social media for my own entertainment. I just do stuff. I'm just like, it's just silly. And that's the kind of guy I am. I'm just a silly person when I want to be. I can be serious, but a lot of the time I like to just have fun and just do random stuff.
Now, one of the things you do besides just training MMA, you also coach at Uniondale High School for their wrestling program. And I was just wondering, how often are you down there at the school coaching those kids?
I actually just left practice just now. I'm on my way home. I got to go get an x-ray to get a clearance for my last fight. I'm just now having to get it's kind of crazy. They just now told me I need this stuff like within the past few days, and now they're telling me I need to get a clearance letter. I'm like, you guys should have been on top of that, but whatever. So I had to leave practice just now. We just finished up, and I'm there every day, Monday through Friday. We got our first tournament this Saturday. Otherwise, I would have went to Vegas probably tomorrow. But I want to see the new guys and the freshmen, how they do this Saturday. So I want to make sure that they're understanding the sport and make sure they're mentally ready. And I want to get those boys hyped up and get ready to do battle. So I want to stay around for that, and I'm going to head out Saturday afternoon, evening, and head over to Vegas.
Now, you have fought in Vegas before, but it's been a while, so are you excited to get back and fighting in the fight capital of the world?
But it's a great feeling. It's cool, man. It's a bigger venue. For me, I try not to make it a huge spectacle. I try not to put it on the totem pole, like what do you call that thing? Oh, the pedestal. Yeah. I try not to put it on such a high pedestal because then you kind of get starstruck and all this stuff. For me, I try to pretend it's another day in the office, except there's going to be a lot of people there watching. And Cosmo is actually a relatively small venue, so it's going to be small and intimate, which is nice. So I'm going to hear the crowd roar, and it's going to be cool, man. It's going to be something a little bit different. It's going to kind of remind me of Revel when I fought at Revel, a small arena, small venue, but it's packed out, and everyone's going to be going nuts. And I live for that. I come alive in the nighttime. That's my motto. That's my thing that I always tell myself to help myself get mentally ready to go out there and be able to take a punch to the face or a kick to the face or an elbow. You got to be mentally ready to prepare for those things. You got to kind of see it and understand, like, if it happens, these things are okay. And this is what you sign up for. This is what you do for a living. So you got to be mentally prepared to do battle and go out there, and whatever gets thrown your way, you got to be able to handle it. I'm excited.
Jim Graham talking with the Funk Master Aljamain Sterling. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram, same handle at @funkmaster_UFC. And looking at your fight on December 10th in Vegas against Johnny Eduardo, he's a guy that definitely has some serious power, as he was able to finish the ever-tough Eddie Wineland, also breaking his jaw in the process. And I was wondering, are you doing anything particular to prepare for that power?
I mean, the only way I can prepare for his power if I stand there with my hands down, my chin up, and tell my teammates to just whack me as hard as you can and let me see how much damage I could possibly take. But so no, I haven't been preparing for his power. The only thing I've been really doing was kind of sticking to the blueprint, using my footwork. I think I do a great job with that. I think my coach does a great job with making sure we stay on task with our game plans. And that's pretty much what it's been. So if I've been preparing for his power, it's pretty much do the things technically right so that I can make it an easier night for myself and a tough night for Eduardo. I mean, I feel like anybody can knock anybody out if they duck their head and swing from their hips and they throw a punch, an overhand right at a guy who has his hands down. It's going to be a different fight. He's in for a different fight. He's going to be in for a long night. And I guarantee once I take that guy down, I hit him with a couple of elbows and he gives up his back, and I start to choke him, he's going to want to tap and he's going to break.
Even though the majority of Eduardo's wins are by submission, 13 coming by submission, he has also been submitted 7 times in his career. And I was wondering, are you pretty confident that you could submit him if the opportunity arose?
Yeah, I think that speaks for itself. When you tap out, man, you say something. You say something about yourself, and you're willing to give up. You're willing to quit. And I think it's just one of those things that, hey, you know, it's different. People have different philosophies. Live to fight another day. Yeah, that's all. That's true. That's true. But I'm willing to get my arm hyperextended. I'm willing to get my knees ripped off and try to fight out of a position. So I don't think he's willing to do that, and I think that's the difference. He's a very, very highly talented jiu-jitsu guy. Really good off his back with arm bars and things like that, leg locks and those kind of things. But I don't plan on playing his game. I plan on fighting my fight, and I think that's the difference. Sticking to the game plan, sticking to my guns, is bringing the fight where I want the fight to be, and that's keeping my distance, beating him up undefeated, and when I feel like taking him down, I'll take him down, and when I feel like getting on his back for the choke, I'll get the back for the choke, or I get the full mount, and I just beat the crap out of him.
If you are able to defeat Johnny Eduardo on the 10th of December, what will this win mean for your career, especially moving up towards the title shot?
This win would be huge. I just think it's just got to be the right place, right time, man. I think the division is in a very weird spot. Uriah Faber is hands down going to get the next title shot, regardless of what I do or anybody else does. It's just right place, right time. And if Uriah Faber gets hurt, I do believe I'm the next guy in line. But at the end of the day, I got to get a win. And I know Johnny Eduardo's a tough guy. He's not going to back down. I'm going to make him back down, and that's the difference. He's gonna be there to fight the entire time, but I think once I get my hands on him a couple times, it's gonna be easier and easier for him to want to quit. And I think that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to break the guy. And that's what I want the rest of these guys in this bantamweight division to realize. I'm not here to go out there and coast these decisions. I'm here to break these guys' will and make them quit. It's a different philosophy, a different mentality, and it's a different fight style that these guys don't really realize yet what I'm doing. And by the time they realize what I'm doing when we're in there, it's going to be a little bit too late.
The main event there of your card in Las Vegas is Paige Van Zandt against Rose Namajunas, and I was wondering your thoughts on PVZ against Rose.
Man, that's a tough one. I love both of them as fighters, like in terms of watching them. Paige is very, very good where she smothers you. She doesn't give you any space to breathe, and once she gets you in that clinch, and she sweeps your legs out or she drags you to the ground somehow, she's on you like a freaking wet blanket, and she just pounds people out into submission or just gets them to quit. She's one of those people who she finds a way to win, even if it's not pretty. She grits it out, and she makes it a fight. She makes it a nasty fight. And you got Rose, who's a very unorthodox striker. She throws crazy submissions like flying triangles and stuff. She's not afraid to go for it. So that's what makes this fight interesting. Is will she be able to keep the distance, use her footwork to keep Paige off of her, or will Paige be able to somehow get past her and take her down?
Got to ask you this, Aljamain. Of course, earlier in the year, you, along with some other UFC fighters, Stipe Miocic, Ryan LaFleur, Kevin Lee, and UFC Hall of Famer Forrest Griffin, got to visit the Detroit Pistons practice facility. You got to practice with the Pistons. So being a Detroit native, how cool was it to go out there and practice with the Pistons?
It was a good time. I had a great experience. They helped me with my crossovers and things like that. So I actually like to play ball in my spare time whenever I do have the time. And it was a really good experience, and to see how those guys get treated and to see how they train. And I would love to do it again. I think we are going to try to do it again at some point. And I'm excited for those guys. It's they made a new fan out of me. Just the hospitality in itself was really, really awesome.
Now, when you're watching the Pistons, like you said, you're kind of now a fan of them. Who's your favorite Piston player?
I like Drummond. What's his name? Baines. Baines was pretty cool. I got to meet Baines. And there was another guy. He was a first-year player, and I forgot his name. I want to say it was Andre something, not Drummond. It was another guy. And he was on the practice squad, and he was working his way up to try to get the contract. But he was another cool player that I got to meet. And right now I also like Reggie Jackson. Reggie, he's pretty good, man. He's really swift on the feet. Got some really, really nice moves. But those are the guys I like that I actually met, and cool guys.
I already mentioned him a little bit earlier on, but one of your teammates, of course, at Serra-Longo is the middleweight champion of the world, Chris Weidman. So I wanted to get your thoughts on his upcoming title defense on December 12th against Luke Rockhold.
I guess for that fight, they're kind of mirror images of each other, and this is what I've been telling people. I think they're mirror images of each other in terms of their styles. Both grapplers and very good jiu-jitsu practitioners. I just think Chris is just a little bit – I think he's just a lot tougher in terms of his mental psyche. And on top of that, you got his toughness, and then you got – he's just a little bit better in every single aspect of the game. His wrestling, world-class. Yeah, you could be training with world-class wrestlers. That doesn't necessarily make you a world-class wrestler yourself, you know? So I think Chris has him beat him in that aspect. I think he has him beat on the jiu-jitsu aspect where he's more versatile in his attacks. And I think his stand-up is just going to be a little bit better as well. And people think he's slow. I really don't get where they get off calling him slow because the Vitor Belfort fight, he decided to let Vitor tire himself out and make the fight easier for himself. If that's what they're going by, they're sadly mistaken. But people are going to be in for a surprise December 12th.
Also on the same night, Chris Weidman defends his middleweight title is, of course, the huge matchup between Conor McGregor and Jose Aldo. Your thoughts on that matchup for the featherweight title?
Ooh, man, that's the one that if I'm going to put money on, I keep my money in my pocket. I have no idea what's going to happen in that fight, man. I feel like McGregor gets better every single fight, and Aldo's kind of stagnant. But I think he's definitely taken a lot of approaches to adapt to McGregor's game. So that's going to be the telltale of that fight. I think can Aldo make those adjustments in the fight if things don't start to work out with him because he's very basic and he's very good at what he does, which is very basic, you know. So it's one of those things where McGregor just brings a different style. His movement, his straight left hand, his head kicks and those spinning back kicks, even that uppercut that lead hand uppercut he likes to throw. If he can put the pressure on him like he did Chad Mendes and zap his energy with those front kicks, I think it's McGregor's fight. But then again, Aldo is so freaking good. It's just really hard to pick anybody in that fight. But that fight could go either way, in my opinion.
All right, Aljamain, I'll get you out of here with this. What is on the top of the Funk Masters Christmas list this year?
The top of my Christmas list, I would like to just take a vacation. That's pretty much. I've been fighting. Not even fighting. I've been training for so long since my surgery. I've been told I was gonna get an earlier fight. That didn't pan out, and I just been training nonstop. And it's weird. My teammate, especially Villante, he makes fun of me. He says, "Bro, whenever you don't have a fight, you're always healthy. Nothing's bothering you. And as soon as you get a fight now, you start getting injured, and your body part starts falling apart." And it's a funny thing because it's like so true. It always happens. Never fails. And I just need a break. I've been training for pretty much 6 months now, man. And I need a break and take a nice cruise with my girlfriend and possibly some friends and hang out and enjoy life a little bit and coach my wrestlers. And hopefully that'll be my Christmas gift to see some of them win a tournament title.
He is the Funk Master, Aljamain Sterling. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at @funkmaster_UFC. And as I mentioned earlier, also on Snapchat at funk-master31. And Aljamain, thanks again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it and look forward to your fight against Johnny Eduardo.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Once again, that was the Funk Master, Aljamain Sterling, right here on Beyond the Cage.